For the Cold War, so you will have done by now. You've done the expansionism inquiry. You've done the response to aggression, with where we covered the world wars. This will go into more detail about the Cold War, particularly the conflicts. But you can see that I have your objectives listed at the top. I did kind of identify the chapters, chapter 25, and then just a few sections of 27, 28, and 29. Not a ton of reading, but a little bit to give you some context. And I kind of did this the same way that I did the expansionism. So you can follow it along on the Google Doc if you want. Or if you would prefer, you can go, oh, so sorry. You can go to the Google Slides and kind of work your way through that. I have it kind of broken down with kind of topics. One thing I will say, this one on the American responses to Vietnam, there's the whole video is pretty good. Talks about 1971 to 75. But if you're not wanting to watch the whole thing, if you'll just watch those sections, 4 minutes into 10 minutes, 11, almost 12 minutes to 16, there's some little pieces that kind of go into how Americans responded to Vietnam, particularly during Nixon's administration, and kind of breaks that down. And then you've got these key questions that you want to be able to answer that are related to the Cold War, and particularly, how like Nixon and Reagan responded to the Cold War. Your inquiry product, oh, excuse me, is a multimedia. That's Google Slides, a video, a collage, anything along those lines, that essentially have 6 primary source items that kind of address this idea of the U.S. How did we participate with the Cold War? How did we try to oppose that? Oppose that expansion of the Soviet Union. So you can work your way through the Google Slides, or you can go to the Google Doc. Either way, has the same information on it. And so that should kind of make it pretty clear. The textbook will give you some background as well. And you can always go to the lecture PowerPoints or lecture slides. But really the videos that I've shared here will probably do as much good as anything else, but you can access those lecture slides. If you go under course materials, you'll see that. You can see here, if I go to, say that's first period, go to course materials, and you can scroll down. There will be a section that has the PowerPoints right here. Click on that, and that will take you to what, to the folder that has all the lectures. So anyways, so hopefully that helps you, gives you a little bit of an idea of how to approach the Cold War. Again, this is looking primarily at the geopolitical conflicts that are happening. And I didn't go into a ton of detail on Vietnam. If I remember. Oh, sorry for yawning again. So I really just have the one video here on Vietnam. It's kind of like Vietnam's kind of like with World War I and World War II. There's so much out there, and like I really debated, if you go to if you look on the inquiry, this Cold War. This is actually a series of a whole bunch of videos that's produced by somebody in Great Britain. But it has some really good information. I was tempted to share more of that, but then I decided that's information overload. But if you're interested in finding out more about Vietnam, that's a great resource. There's lots of good, the PBS, Ken Burns had a Vietnam War documentary. There's just so much out there. So I kept it. Oh, sorry for yawning again. So I kept it pretty simple, just by putting in the crash course. The crash course does a pretty good overview of it. But again, there's a whole lot more to Vietnam. I mean, I could just, we could teach a whole semester just on Vietnam. So it just kind of like, I just felt like it would be easier just to do something pretty short and sweet. So anyways, hopefully that kind of helps you get the gist of what the Cold War was all about. And if you have any questions, just let me know.